iy'nkinga zami zaqala when I was 3 years of age. And I was a very sickly kid. Very sickly to an extent yokuthi umama would always be like, wena unendiki.
A friend of mine said we're going somewhere one day, and he was taking me to go and see the sangoma. And when I saw her for the first time, I was like, but I was keeping quiet, you know. I was like, yeah, no, I dreamt of this woman.
There's a certain image Mkhulu portrayed on me, and that image, young Tusa, I almost wanted to run.
Thokozani, I am Paul Wabadimu, the advocate of Idlozi, and I welcome you to Thokoza Gogo podcast. And this is episode 7. Listen, we are doing this thing one Sunday at a time. Don't forget to like this video, leave your comments down below, and also subscribe to the channel so that we can grow this family one Sunday at a time. Well, today we are going to be talking all things spirituality and love. I'm so excited about this topic and I hope you will enjoy it as well. Thokozani,
Thokoza.
ninjani? Anisebahle. I must say, you look good.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, I'm interested. This is the first time I've had a couple on the podcast, but I would like to delve more into the aspect of relationships, the dynamics and all of that. But before we touch on that, I'd like to get to know each one of you. Who is who in the room? Where you from? A bit of background history of your journey, and we'll take it from there. Kulu?
Sure, I'll go first, no problem. I'm Kulu Amir. I've been on a spiritual journey for a number of years, but went into Pehluen probably about 5 years ago.
Okay.
4 to 5 years. I'm not good with timelines. But before going into Pehluen, I studied different spiritual modalities. I studied Bodhisuchi Sijati in Malaysia. I did shamanism in South American shamanism. And then I moved on to do Kemetic shamanism.
Okay.
And then went into African shamanism or becoming a sangoma. So my practice is quite holistic in terms of those different modalities and also different in the sense of the medicines that I use.
Okay. Interesting. I'm coming back to you.
Sure.
Gaga?
Umkhuhlabangane lo.
Thokoza.
Umkhuhlabangane uqhamuka KZN.
Okay.
Uqeqesheke nje in the year of 2022. Uqhamuka nje endaweni yasemakhaya. Intombazana yasemakhaya ekhulele nje ekujuleni impela kwaseSikhoti. Ngasho nje kanjalo nje ukuthi intokazi esebenza ngedlozi in terms of isithunywa kakhulu.
Thokoza.
Phinde kube isimo futhi sobunyanga.
Okay.
So ikhehla lami nje lisebenza kanjalo. Mongibeke nje emeeting waphinde wathi angeke ngigeza abantu futhi ngapha ngasemanzini. Usuku usubeke mina.
Okay, so wena if nje ngibamba kahle gogo 2022 kula izinto uqale zahleleka khona in terms of your journey, but impilo yakho yonke nje bekunezinto mhlambe bowuzibona ezichazayo ukuthi cha mina ngwabadala mina and angifani nezinye izingane.
Oh yes, kade kukuningi kakhulu from childhood. I think inkinga zami zaqala when I was 3 years of age. And I was a very sickly kid. Very sickly to an extent yokuthi umama would always be like, wena unendiki. And indiki lami lakhula nami to an extent where ngabona izangoma, I think maybe izangoma which I've seen were more than 10. But none of them could see ukuthi what type of ukufa or ukugula lo mntwana kanako. Until it was discovered in the year of 2021, which is when I met uGobela wami.
Okay.
And she was the one who was like, okay, kukula kwakho wena okade kukulandela all these years ngisakhula kuze kube namhlanje.
Wow, what an interesting story, Gogo. Mkhulu, you're a holistic healer, as how you like to describe yourself. But I would like to also get a background, in terms of your spiritual journey. how did you identify that, look, I am not like everybody else? Or was there an interest that was sparked in you or an awakening of some sort?
Yeah, so when I was 8 years old, I was diagnosed with meningitis,
Okay.
but it wasn't meningitis. They didn't know what was wrong with me. And luckily, my grandmother is also a seer, so she was very much in this kind of spiritual world. But because I'm because I'm of Arab descent, my grandmother identified, no, there's something spiritually going on. I also used to see a lot of things, and my grandmother then could put two and two together. So over the years, the gift was kind of, how can I say, kind of initiated within the boundaries or confines of Islam because of my Arab heritage. Until I went, I think I went on a spiritual journey around the age in my like late 20s, and that's when a whole new world opened up for me, you know. And eventually I was led to my Gobela. A friend of mine said we're going somewhere one day, and he was taking me to go and see the sangoma. And when I saw her for the first time, I was like, but I was keeping quiet, you know. I was like, yeah, I know, I dreamt of this woman. But me being a sangoma, no, I was in denial. I never ever saw myself being a sangoma. In actual fact, I frowned upon it for many reasons. And after the consultation, of course, she told me, listen, you need to twasa, or else your life is just gonna.
Did she I'm sorry to interject, did she specify that you have a calling or uyobungoma or something along those lines? Or did she speak about a certain ancestor that is coming forth that wants you to go through the route of maybe her stepping in and initiating you? Because when you're going to see somebody, it means that there's a reason why you're being sent to that person. What they have is what you need for your awakening or your journey.
Yeah.
So her being a sangoma, did that connect with you in some sort? Did she, validate something in you, or say along those routes that no, there's a bloodline of Wungoma in your family or something of those sorts?
Yeah, she did. But at the time, I was like, I mean, it's obvious, you know. Maybe she just wants me to initiate now in this. So I didn't take it seriously. When I went to consult, I was vegan. So I'm thinking, and now I have to slaughter animals and do all of these things. It's just against everything that I believe in, you know? And from the time I left to the time I went in was probably like a week and a half. So I went from complete no to I have to do this. How, I don't know. But yeah, I am.
And with the dreams there, and who is Mkhulu Amir? Who is he in your bloodline? Is there a background of
Yes.
him in the respect?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So it's Amir al-Alawi from my mom's side. And al-Alawi is the tribe that my lineage is from. And yeah, I mean, I did the whole background check as well. You've seen it, right? The lineage check. So yeah, it's a grandfather from my mom's side.
I'm very curious because I have to understand, because for us there's a written out structure, or rather a put out structure that that isikhwama sibuya kubani, siya kubani, and the like. So in your regard, I feel like that's why I want you to paint the picture for us a little bit so that at least I can get an understanding, because somebody's watching and think, oh my gosh, an Arab sangoma, what the hell? So I think that's why I'm asking these questions, of which they're very valid. Umuntu uba nobizo, so uliphuze waliphalaza Mkhulu, you done with your process.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. But there are some things that like have come through of late that I'm working with my Gobela.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a never-ending journey,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And I think we were having that discussion this morning about spirituality not having a set or defined way. It's not dogmatic. It's, I suppose, yeah.
So usebenzisa ini ke Mkhulu wena? Usithunya, what's your Umdao. Okay, interesting. Very challenging, but very interesting. So I see there's a ring, and it means there's some form of union, a corner between the two of you guys. Are you married?
Want me to go?
Gogo, would you like to answer that?
Yes.
Nishadile, Gogo.
Yes, we are married.
Whoa. Nishadile, like,
Yes.
Lili.
Yes, sishadile. The only thing that is missing that we have to do right now is umshado, the actual big wedding.
Okay.
That
The
is
ceremony.
Yes, that is what is missing. But in terms of idlozi amalobola kokiwe, and in terms of amalobolo asekhaya nawo futhi asefikile egcekeni, in terms of umhlanganiso konke futhi sekwenziwe, and in terms of home affairs, that has also been done. So kuhle kusesilinde nje ukuthi kulilizelwe manje.
Gogo, I'm curious. I'm a sangoma. I've been at this for years, and when are you just 2022 and now you are married and unedlozi lomkhulu ngilekele Gogo kanjani? I want the story around that, because there is a lot of challenges that one faces, and I think from 22 and now it's 25, you haven't really done so much, for idlozini umsebenzi, and now you've moved on. So gomunye umsamo nomkhulu ngapha. Gogo ngicela usiphe kancane le journey yakho. Lavuma vele lomkhulu wathi yes. Yes, girl.
Yes, umkhulu ngoba ngisho ukuthi into yami
But wait,
yedlozi.
sorry, before we even go to that, right? We still by the Lobolo,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of processes in it. So the actual Lobola negotiation is happening actually this weekend.
Whoa.
Yeah, and with Mkhulu, it's a lot more difficult because she's from the royal family. So she's a princess. So it's like,
Bring our cows.
Yeah.
So after you, okay, ubali looks at cases, and so now are you based this side nomkhulu ngapha?
Yes, sengingapha ngaseGoli.
So uthathe umsamo wakho, into zakho zokusebenza usebenzela ngapha nomkhulu nihlangene ngokusebenza.
Ukuhlangana kwethu ngokusebenza sihlangene ngoba ukuhlanganisa kwethu kwemsamo ngiyakwazi ukuthi I can be able to work with umsamo wamkhulu and umkhulu can be able to work with umsamo wami. But mengingapha ngikwazi ukusebenzisa umsamo kamkhulu ngoba isigodlo sami ngakasithuthi ngisise ngapha.
Gogo, how are you using umsamo kamkhulu?
Oh, it's very easy mase senihlanganisiwe.
Nihlanganisiwe,
Yes.
nihlanganisela amadlozi.
Yes.
Gogo, there was no
Uselobolile.
ancestor any problem or culture clash or
Umkhulu, I knew him when I knew about him, or I had this intuition, when I was still, I think in grade 9.
Whoa.
And I would always tell my family, I'm going to get married to umuntu ohlanga. And they would always be like, how? How is that possible? Uzomtholaphi? Ayikho nje into esho. And it is so funny now in my family because manje sebengibheka bethi, oh, kodwa washo.
Wow.
Washo, uyabona. So ngisho nokuza kwakhe ke sesitholana manje nje eminyakeni edlule kade sengazi for 2 years. kade seshilo umkhulu ukuthi lalela ke impilo yakhe sizoshintsha ke manje sekukhona ushintsho selizophazamisa manje la nganga understand ukuthi umkhulu usho ushintsho njani ngoba phela ngisanda ukuqathaka la endumbeni iliphi lolu shintsho lo lasho ngasho ukuthi ayisho ukuphakamela kwamandla. That's what I thought. But manje mase sengiphinde futhi ngiphindelela nedlozi and I asked them ukuthi iliphi lelo shintsho umkhulani lishoyo basho ukuthi hayi isimo sokuthi ngiyendela esizayo kodwa manje umuntu angendela kuya ngimazi. I didn't know who it was. I didn't know ukuthi uzoqhamuka lapha. I didn't know how I would meet him. But impawu zokuthi ngiyomthola kanjani bafike banginikeza zona. You understand?
That's unique. This is a love story. This is a love story. I don't want to lie. How did you guys meet? How did you guys meet? Mkhulu, would you like to take on that? How did you meet?
So we met through a mutual friend of ours, and we also met again for the second time. We met through an introduction by my brother, and then we would just chat on TikTok from there onwards, because she was quite big on TikTok. And we would chat, and we chatted for a while, for a long time before we actually met.
Did you have some visions and dreams about her before you guys started talking?
I was so preoccupied with at the time, like juggling different women in my life, and it was quite stressful. So I don't recall any visions, but I do recall meeting her for the first time, and just there was that knowing,
Love at first sight.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
It was at first sight,
So
I guess.
when I go say you saw this in the dream, Masen Kulu again Mkhulu, after you guys saw each other for the first time, did it give you peace that this is what you have been seeing and amandlo zakho now nangumayam later, but hey
Mina, I don't want to lie. I was so confused. I was so confused because now I'm meeting someone who is Isangoma and someone who is of another race, Kotu Isangoma. And then I'm asking myself, how is this possible at the same time? But at the same time, I'm curious and nginokuthula futhi phakathi, and it seems like ngoba ukuhlangana kwethu, it was more about it touch base, it was healing, because ngangithanda kakhulu indlela kasebenza ngayo ngamanzi. So I was very interested in that. So that's where everything started to connect ukuthi ngisho our relationship, i-dynamic yethu kumanje sigxile kakhulu ekutheni ukuhila kwethu kuhamba kanjani, idlozi lethu lihamba kanjani. Ngicabanga ukuthi uthando nako konke kuza kamuva. Kuqala la kuqala edlozini ukuthi okay, are things going well here in terms of idlozi, and mekuthi kuyaphakama edlozini kusho ukuthi nathi kusahamba kahle. So that's where uthando lethu laqala khona. Ukuthi yabona mengikhuluma naye ngedlozi, hey umkhulu has a tendency of ukuthi abe hype nami. And I didn't understand that ukuthi ngoba ngidlomonda somuntu omnyama, why mekukhulunywa ngedlozi he's just so energetic about it. Una le enthusiasm yokuthi uqaqeka kunami, sengizizwa ngathi ngisele ngemuva ke manje. So seeing that through him, nanokuthi uhlonipha kanjani idlozi, nanokuthi uhlonipha kanjani idlozi lami, it kind of made everything easier. Nanokuthi izinto zethu uhlangane kalula. So sathi mesithi siyahlangana, they told him ukuthi he would hide himself. And he did. He did. And he did.
whoa,
There's a certain image Mkhulu portrayed on me, and that image, young Tusa, I almost wanted to run. I was like, okay,
this is not me.
there is no woman who's gonna allow this. There is no woman, or Futimina, I have been a person or single for such a very long time.
Okay.
So I'm like, and then after me being singing ngiphathe kahle yonke lento, bese ngithi ngizothola umuntu ozongiqaqela into ekanjena. How come?
Kukuyini kokole?
Othi akuchazele. Mkhulu, tell.
Sorry, I need subtitles.
No, I'm saying tell her of the image that you portrayed to me when we first met.
Oh, so when we first met, I had come out of like a number of relationships. And yeah, I definitely wasn't the nicest guy when it came to women. And I stand in my integrity and accountability, and I'm open and honest to say that, you know. And so I basically gave up on this thing called love or the one, you know. And then when we met for the first time, I was, really prepared to be on my own.
Were you going through heartbreak?
I wouldn't say heartbreak.
Or were you
I think it
disappointed?
was just like confusion, you know. I wanted to be a polygamist, but realized I can't be strong enough for that.
Did you try it out?
But in the wrong ways,
Ooh.
you know. Probably in a way that can come across like looking for an excuse to cheat or that kind of thing. But yeah, it was just a mess, and I hurt people in the process, you know, which somehow is not easy for them to understand. But I mean, I'm trying to understand it myself at that stage and when we first met. But yeah, I mean, I was honest from the beginning about all of that and everything that was happening in my life at that time, and probably honest for the first time.
So, Mkhulu, what you were married? You were in a polygamous marriage.
No, so here's the thing, right? I was married for 20 years and never ever had any sexual relations with another woman in that time. And then I met another lady, and then another lady, and then another kind of prospect lady, and then a number of prospect ladies. So it was just like crazy in the space of, I'd say, maybe 2 years, you know, going from being that way for 20 years and then just, it was just like a storm.
So, how do you get into the polygamy? Were you in a bit of a term relationship with these other ladies that now your marriage was also one big spectrum, not just between you and your wife at that time?
No, so between number one and number two, I can say that I wanted to have that with both of them, right? But of course, I didn't do it in the correct manner. You know, it was like, who's this lady on your phone? I said, my girlfriend. Type of thing. Instead of going, listen, I'm going to take number two. This is how it is. And, you know, so I was looking, I wasn't brave enough. And then between number two and number three, it was also that this same kind of like tumultuous situation. And then eventually it was like, okay, I made two ladies pregnant at the same time. And while they were pregnant, I was still kind of speaking to other ladies. And so it was a mess, you know? And eventually I was like, yeah, I gotta just leave all of this stuff.
That sounds very sticky.
Very.
No, it was super
Sounds
sticky.
Very sticky. Did you see any of these women in the dreams and the visions prior you meeting them, having kids with them?
Not that I can think of, really. It would be very difficult for me to say that I saw them, But I did have have that feeling. I don't know, it's hard to
Because
explain
there are
it.
kids involved. I mean,
Yeah. Like something's going to transpire because there's that like almost like an electricity that happens. So I did have that. But yeah, so now there's kids involved, yes. And when I went to meet Makosi for the first time, I was like, what am I doing? Should I turn back? I got to Harry Smith and I was like, I had a few cups of coffee at the Seattle, like,
whoa.
let me just go back. Like I've created enough of a storm behind me,
If I may ask, Mkhulu, the women that you were married to and the other women that you had kids, are they of Arabic descent or they black women just like
No,
Gogo?
no. So my wife for 20 years, she's Tibetan.
Okay.
And then Kosa.
Okay. So there was no culture shock when you met Ugogo and are now proceeding with the Lobolo and all because you've dated somebody.
So I grew up in KZN.
Okay.
Spent a lot of time around Zulu people. But Makosi is another level of Zulu, right? Like it comes from them. So it's like, hey.
Hey.
Yeah, no.
Did the family give you a tough time?
It's hardcore. Actually, maybe not yet. We'll see this weekend. But no. No,
I mean, it was probably they have a warming to you because I mean, you guys are together, working together, stable together. That must mean that you are actually doing something right, Mkhulu. But what I wanted to touch on, so you're working together as a couple, and I always ask the question to everyone that comes here, what is your contribution to the healing body? So Nina, as a couple, Mani Sebenza, do you work together like that? If a client is ill, does a party facilitate the consultation, Omunye does this, or is it a joint venture that we consult you both, we work on you both, and see to finish both of us, or is it just your clients are yours, or my clients are mine?
we work together.
Oh, you work together.
Yeah, we do work together. And then there's also the thing of a lot of the time, there's a big language barrier for me, right? But I mean, Makosi helps in that regard a lot.
Okay.
And then when it comes to like those cultural nuances, like I'm saying, it comes from them. So she really understands that. And I think coupled with that Mdiki knowledge, that ancient wisdom, it's power.
So did you have a challenge, Mkhulu, when you started practicing in regards of ubungoma, a bit of rejection from society? Like, I mean, I won't be consulted by a white man. Anyeke, have you had those type of encounters?
I think it's been opposite.
Ooh.
Yeah, of course you do have those encounters. How could this be? But I think it's been for the most part quite welcoming. Yeah, I think it's been really good in that regard.
Gogo, when I because Mkhulu is touching on the language barrier and so if I'd like to ask, I'm a client in Azayo. Majority of the people that come see you, abantu abanjani? Inkinga zabo zihamba kanjani? Nina in speciality senu manithi no into esisebenza ngayo gogo yilena silapha okuthizeni senza okuthizeni. Where do you apply in the healing body?
I think the only thing that we don't do is a whole back to sender.
Okay.
And we're going to be wait umuntu ubuthakathi nje asnap.
All right.
That's the only thing that we don't do. But in regards to wonke yonke into in terms of healing, we do everything. Because he's a healer that is different. Uphiwe ngendlela ehlukile from me. You understand? So umuntu uzoqhamuka with a certain situation and I'm like, ay, umkhulu kozokwazi ukuyinakale. Mina ngiyadedala. And then kuqhamuka omunye umuntu futhi with a certain illness. Abone futhi naye ukuthi ikhehla lami lona lizokwazi ukulapha lami mina ngiyadedala. So in terms of ama client aswatholayo, we get different kinds of clients abagula ngendlela eningi. Abanye iziqu zomzimba esuke kukhona, abanye it's a spiritual thing abasuke beathekwa ngayo, abanye amakhaya bhidlikayo. Abanye futhi ilaba abafuna isimo sokuthi benothe kodwa bengazi ukuthi yidlozi engavumi noma impilo engavumi noma umthakatho ongavumi. So we help them ukuthi to understand ukuthi okay, inkinga yakho baba noma gogo noma bani ushayeka la.
Okay.
So thina fanele siqhelise lento le ukuze sizokwazi ukuthi idlulise lo muthi lo. So we deal with our clients who have different situations, but imkhakha yethu ngoba sihlangene kanje as healers siyakwazi ukuthi sidedelane. Mekuyinkundla yami uyakwazi ukuthi ayihloniphe. Nami mekuyinkundla yakhe futhi ngiyakwazi ukuthi ayihloniphe. Nasina kwi consultation futhi into kanjani. Lezi ngisho ukuthi njengomuntu who is okhule umZulu sihlezi sithi indoda iqala kuqala. So mekufika iclient ngithi ay Mkhulu, you'll be first. Amqaqele kahle kahle nje ngasho ukuthi Mkhulu uyena ugobela wami endlini. Uyena ugobela wami ngoba uthi mase seqaqile mase kulandela mina. Mase ngiyaqaqa ke nami. Mase sesiqedile ngiyambuza futhi ngithi ke Mkhulu sesiqedile ke manje usushilo ukuthi kuzoba kwenzeka kanje asho futhi the payment will be like this. Sengiyambuza ukuthi ngihlanganisa eni ke manje. Okay. Ayasho ukuthi mihlanganiso lokuthi nokuthi. Ima ngijimayo ke manje. Yena lapha ya ubhizi ushaya iconsultation manje uwendende manje. Uhleli ngisho ukuthi yabona indaba ukuba nogobela endlini bana.
Kodwa ngibona ngathi i-dynamic le yenu imnandi, i-fresh, it's you know, there's a different perspective because it's a very rare space ukuhlangana nabantu aba spiritually gifted abahlalisanayo. In most cases the dynamics are power dynamics. Ubani ufuna ukukhothamela omunye akafuna ukukhothamela omunye. So I think, you know, your submission to Mkhulu is very commendable, Gogo, regarding the fact that unedlozi elekhehla, you know. So do you take initiates?
As yet, cha.
No.
As yet, cha.
Okay.
Angiboni ukuthi sazokwazi ukuthi siwathathe as yet.
But if somebody comes to you, Mkhulu, and says, Mkhulu, please, I was showing you, are you ready to initiate somebody? Ebungomeni, do you feel like you're ready like that?
Yes, I do. That said, though, it's just about the space. Like where we are in Sandton is going to be a bit difficult, you know. So for now, I send them to Magobela.
Where's your Gebela based?
Kwatema.
Oh, Guatem. Okay, not so far. Okay, all right. Impande kaban?
Majoy.
Majoy. Okay, and when I go impande kaban?
Ay mina yami kusame yakanzima.
Oh, Thokozani. So it like you guys and there's just something that links you guys together. So Mkhulu, I just want to understand something in terms of your Islamic background.
Yes.
How did your family receive you now transitioning to a background a religious background, if I may say, that says you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, and then now you step into the practice and space of Ngoma that totally goes against all those. How did you present that to your family, and do they take a liking, or you still, Shando, are you the black sheep in the family? How is that?
So the surprising thing is that I think if we explore it more, and from a cultural perspective, because Islam is a religion that, if you look at it without emotion, is a religion born out of Arab culture. And Arab culture is very similar to African culture in a lot of ways, right? And so navigating that space is not, it's not difficult at all. Quite surprisingly, I did a podcast about a week ago,
Okay.
and it was an Islamic one about the same thing and debunking the misconception that we practice black magic,
Okay.
right? And the similarities of how do you create that balance. And so I look at it in the perspective of energy. And healing for me is a kind of manipulation of energy, right? So is prayer. So is the different kinds of Islamic, which they call ruqya, ways of healing, is very similar, you know. Yes, of course, in everything you get good and bad. It comes from the same place, I suppose. Well, not I suppose, it does. So, yeah, it's never been an issue really within the family. I mean, my mom sometimes grapples with it, but then will always call me and talk about a neighbor 6 houses removed that I don't even know, and I must heal them for her. You know, so it's,
Yeah, it works both ways.
yeah.
So I heard Mkhulu when you were having the conversation with my producer talking about social media. You're a couple that's on social media. That's when we saw you on social, and then you were on social media.
Thank you.
We you heard you touching on the part of that. There's a bit of controversy and things that you just are comfortable in talking about. Kwenzakalani Gogo on the streets?
Oh, on the streets.
Kwenzakalani,
There's a
Gogo?
lot happening on the streets because, yeah, we don't know if it is a weapon formed against us or it's a weapon formed to build us at this point. We're looking at it in both ends and we're trying to figure it out. With Mkhulu, how did we get here? What did we do wrong to get to this
Yini
point?
nilwa nomuntu nabantu
Silwa nabantu. We are fighting against abantu who are from his past.
Oh, okay.
So these are people abaqhamuka ngakuyena ababe yimbangi ezodwa. So imbangi lezi zazilwa ndawonye ngingakafiki mina.
Okay.
So washiya ke zonke phansi. Wathatha mina. Lezi imbangi ke manje selwisana nami ke nokuthula kwami nokuthula kwekhehla lami ke manje. And I'm asking myself also, how come bezolwa? Why are they fighting now? Because this thing happened, I think, around the midst of 2023 and 24. Was it?
24.
Around 24.
Yeah.
That's last year. Last year.
Yeah, last year. So it has been approximately how many months? 6 months.
More, close to a year, I think.
Close to a year.
Yeah, close to a year and a bit over. Like I said, I'm not really good with timelines.
Okay.
But it's happened a while ago, you know. I feel like it's not a matter of not holding myself accountable in all of this. And like I said earlier on.
What happened, Mkhulu?
So there was this lady, and a lot of lies from my side were told, right? And it was a time where I feel that, you know, in terms of the lies and it was a mess in my life. You know, I went through a lot. I had just finished my 20-year marriage, and maybe I wasn't ready for anyone or anything at the time. But it was just a lot, you know. I'd also like I was in the Ndumba for like 8 months. I couldn't work for a stage, you know. And it was a lot going on around me. And unfortunately, like, I mean, I can hold myself accountable for those things. But I'm not going to say sorry. And the reason I'm saying I'm not going to say sorry is I think it's beyond sorry. You know, it's easy to say sorry as an escape. It's about a learning. It's about growth. And it's also about understanding. And I'm in a position right now, and so is Makosi, where we're going, okay, what do you want? Like, what does success look like? Canceling me, me not having work, or maybe awareness, telling other women that people like me exist out there.
Do you think women are a weakness? Were a weakness or are a weakness?
Yeah, in Dotayamos, I'm a man, you know what I'm saying? And in most cases, that is it, you know? Like, I would think so, you know, maybe some weaker than others. But yeah, definitely a weakness. And then, of course, there's a type that gets looked at like, yeah, the women are sangomas and they young, some of them. And
So is this
but I mean,
a particular person group that are actually saying these things about Kulu, and where is it directly coming from? Like, is it because something was triggered, or you know?
but that's what we're trying to figure out,
Okay.
right? This particular person said that it happened the same time last year, so
Okay.
that was the trigger,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
I mean, I'm willing to accept that. However, I just find it quite uncanny that, like, the same person that believes that I'm so untrustworthy was sending me clients. So then, what does that say about your relationship with your clients? So
Also,
why would
you were in a relationship with the lady in question, and you're working together at some point.
It wasn't like we were working together. And of course, it's been portrayed right now that we were not in a relationship, but it was a situationship. Right?
Okay.
And I can agree with that. At the same time, I can also say that it's when it comes to working together, we were never working in the same Ndumba, or, you know. It was more like a muti exchange, or, you know, would you make muti for me? You know, those sorts of things.
Okay.
But look, I don't understand how much I've hurt somebody until that person says how they feel or how much they've been hurt, you know? And I think that a more open platform in terms of healing and allowing me to have a side of a story is quite reasonable, no? Like, how do you just have a one-sided story and then run with that?
Gogo, ikuphatha kanjani yonke lento eyenzakalayo?
Oh. For me, this thing is just an experience. Kade ngayilindela ukuthi iyokuyenzeke. And akukho kunye engakwenza ngaphandle kokuthi umyeni wami was umuntu ongaphethe kahle. And ekungaphathanga kahle kwakhe kwasho ukuthi sekungenelela nasemendweni wethu. But at the same time, uyabona, if we are women and uza kimi uzokhuluma nami noma uzokhuluma nathi ngendlela yokuthi mhlambe ufuna ukuthi axolise noma unesicelo esithize ukuthi asenze. I can understand that. Ngiyakwazi ukuzwelana nomuntu wesifazane nami ngumuntu wesifazane. Sonke sike salimazwa abantu besilisa sagowisha. But what I do not understand is you uza ngesimo sokuthi uzom-expose, uzomthonesha. So mina usungibeka ukuthi ngenze njani, ngigoqa izandla ngikubuke.
So now ungenile kule mpi.
So angeke ke impela ke imini pitbull ephambili. Yimi pitbull. Ngithi before ufike la qala la kimi qana. Manje bayasho ukuthi awazi ukuthi uphethe umuntu onjani. Awazi ukuthi ulela umuntu onjani. Mina ngithi indoda kesinye isikhathi Makosi yebo iyakwazi ukuthi iphoxe. Kodwa futhi iyakwazi ukushintshela loyo eqondane naye. And mina zithe lezi zinto ziyenzeka. I have already known the whole story from back to back. Ayikho into angathi I don't know about Mkhulu. Because umuntu who's an open book to me, yabo. So ngisho nalento mayiphuma akuzange kube khona ukuthi hey bamkhulu kwenzakalani manje? Wenzani? Ini? No, I was like, oh, okay. So ufunani? Sikwenzeleni? Yini ofuna ukuyigain? Oh, okay, uthi entertainment. U-entertainer ini for ukuthi
kubiziwe amagama enu naqondwa kuyonke lento eyenzakalayo.
Siqondwe nje ngqo.
Simakade.
Kuqonde nje ngqo.
Kokubani lo muntu?
Hey. Ngeke.
Le ndaba nithi Cindy, where's this thing? Where is it at? I need to go check this out. Gogo.
No, we can't say who it is.
You
but
can't
you
say.
will find out.
Okay, I'll go check it out. Mkhulu,
busy.
has this in some way shifted your energy, or are you still standing by your truth?
The thing is, right? I mean, there's always, what do they say? 3 sides
To the story.
Right? What I'm saying is that sometimes you hear certain things, and yes, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Absolutely.
Right? So there's 90% truth. But it's how that truth is delivered and how that truth is portrayed that can sway 5%, and then there's 5% that is just totally off. You know what I mean? So in the interest of understanding and in the interest of healing, this is what I'm saying. I'm not fighting you. I'm not fighting your truth. Let's take our 2 truths and let's work to some kind of healing or some kind of resolve, or you just want to fight. Like,
Kulu, if this particular person might happen to catch this podcast, what would you like to say to them that you can't openly say out there, but like, listen, look, this is what I'm going to say about this, and we move. What would you like to say about that?
what I'd like to say is that these mistakes that I've made, and big ones, small ones, but you can't keep it in your head because it's going to be, you're always going to assume. It's just going to make you crazy. So let's sit down. Yeah, you can facilitate to sit down.
I think we need a part 2. Pindi, I think we need to organize the person in question, and we need to get this out of the way. Maybe we need a part 2 because now I'm literally speculating. I have no idea. I need to sit on the internet. Go. And I must say, your love is beautiful and commendable, and bringing 2 worlds together is not a very easy situation, but you make it look so easy. And to somebody that is a healer gogo who, ufuna ukushada naye, amagama wenkuthazo ngoba hey ziyalila. What can you advise somebody ofisayo ukuthi nami ngesinye isikhathi I do want to, because mina ngakutshela nje kamgogo mina ngizibona ishem ngizwana nesangoma or angiyiboni ishem
nami ngasho njalo sami nami ngiphuma khona nje ufuna ukuthini
hayi gogo lalela ngiright ukuthi ingishisele ngiyi-1 mpepha anyeke manje sizoyidla every day nasendedeni na but wena how are you ungathini gogo emntwini okubukile osafisa ukuthi you know what nami ngisafuna ukushada ngisafuna ukuba nomakhosi engizophilisana naye kuyaphileka la yini nje ungasilida lapho gogo
ngicela ukuthi kulowo muntu loyo ngidlulisa ukuthi okokuqala bengicela ukuthi angilalele idlozi lakhe and ukulalela idlozi lakhe alikhulumise to an extent ukuthi uba ne-connection nedlozi ukuthi uyakwazi ukulalela nalidlozi liyakwazi ukumlalela ngoba inkinga as abantu abasizangoma the first thing ukuthi siyakhuluma emsamo kodwa siyilinda impendulo and baba nalokho ukuthi hey noma ungakhuluma manje emsamo uma usulinda iphupho cha kesinye isikhathi uma ukhuluma nje naye impepha ikhandlela lakhuluma impepha iyakhuluma environment yasendumbeni iyakhuluma ngisho nama visions ayafika so ngicela ungifikele lapha ekujuleni kwedlozi kuqala mase usufika ekujuleni kwedlozi then you can start to ask manje bantu abadala ngiyacela ke manje ukuthi ningilethele umuntu angizokwazi ukuthi ngiphilisane naye mase umtholile noma empawini zokuthi umthole lo muntu awukuzama ukuthi uthole umuntu ozothanda idlozi lakho kunelakhe because I feel like that's the secret yabona siyabantu bedlozi sike sithi ngeke ngibeke lami ngaphansi qobo
but gogo angazi mhlawumbe no uyayibona lokho abantu esikhathini esiningi abathela amadlozi mina ngikubonile particularly abantu besilisa uma ethatha umuntu esifazane emshada emenzo wakhe usuzolawulwa and umuntu akhohle ukuthi ushade mina ayidlozi lami awuzulayela idlozi lami ukuthi ukuhamba kanjani yebo wena ngize kuwe ngizokushada so babuye kube there's a element of being pompous, there's an element of being a bit of patriarchal in the relationship, even if mhlawumbe unedlozi lomkhulu naye nedlozi lomkhulu hayi umkhulu wami you understand but lento echaza I think it makes sense ukuthi makathande idlozi lakho ngithande nedlozi lami
thanda elami kakhulu kunelakho because uyabona umuntu mezokuthatha nishade naye mase ethanda idlozi lakhe kakhulu yilapho kulawulana kakhulu uqala khona so uyabona njengomkhulu ngoba uyakwazi ukuhlonipha elami idlozi kakhulu kunelakhe unginikeza ispace sokuphefumula kuphinde kuphefumula idlozi lami uyabona manje mawukuthi mina ngizophefumulisela lakho kuphela mase lami livala amaphiko okusho ukuthi ngiyesize sizwana ngoba mina futhi ngiphethwe yikhehla ke nje ngishintsha manje isimo nje endlini sishintsha manje nje yingakho fanele ethi noma ngishintsha aqala ngibuke mase yabona udwise nyukile mase ehlela ngenzansi ukuthi kwenze njani ngitshele manje mozothola lo oqhakambise lakhe idlozi ngaphezulu kwelakho uzothutha udiniwe ethi ayani imiyekeni loyo zaphole angithi mase kuba olunye futhi uphawu olujulile futhi angicela ukuthi balenze ukuthi uma ukuthi umuntu ophiwe and ufisa ukuba esimeni sasemendweni umendo noma uthanda njengoba esho nje Makosi uthi yena akathandi ukubheka lapha esimeni sephiwe uthanda ungathandi kodwa uma uphiwe esimeni sobungoma uyophelela khona lapha ebhlalweni
hayi umshado gogo cha na
kodwa umuntu ozozwana kahle naye umuntu ozofaka ubuhlalo umuntu ozoba ubungoma ngoba fanele si understand ukuthi a person who is not gifted noma umuntu ongangenile esimeni sobungoma abayikwazi ukujula kwedlozi aba understand as much as abantu bethi kodwa usiko ngiyalazi usiko lihlukile nosiko ledlozi usiko lasemsame ekhaya lihlukile nosiko lami lasendumbeni manje ukuthi mina ngiyakwazi ukuthi umyeni wami ngimtshele ngosiko lami si communicate ngosiko lami lasemsamo siyazwana manje kuba khona ukuxhumana spiritual ukuthi manje myeni wami ngicabanga ukuthi nenkonzo ngiyayihoxisa nje 6 months khona lapha fanele ngibheke khona kodwa lo ongaphiwe uzodawu ngeke phela ngeke uze kulunga kodwa lo ngingakamtsheli ngingakaphefumuli kuyena kodwa already lo zami selikhulumile naye.
Cool. Seems like you must open a men's conference for the sangomas and, give them some advice that, hey, this is how you maneuver around this thing. I'm not coming to rule you. We are gifted equally, and let's make this work. Kulu, and to you, what are your parting message or words to somebody that's watching this and, having a culture shock and be like, oh, I'm Indian, I'm white, and I feel ngine bungoma. What would you like to say to them?
So I'd like to say that, we all have our own paths and different practices, but it goes beyond just the rituals, and even in a partnership, it's about the more we understand ourselves and the more we take our journey within first, the more we start to learn ourselves and learn things about ourselves. And then we're able to confront different experiences within a relationship in a more, or in a less egotistical way, But when it comes to ubongoma and the understanding of it, I think it's about opening your minds from different cultures, and you'll be very surprised at what you'll find. I just feel that I don't know if it was religion, but I feel it was kind of painted us in a bad light, as witches and as witch doctors, they say. But if you open your mind, you definitely find a different understanding and a lot of similarities.
Couple, if someone is watching here and they want to come to you for your healing work, your handles and your numbers, you can face your camera.
Oh, is it?
Oh, let's Mkhulu do that one.
Okay.
So our handle. So all the controversy started 2 days after we joined our account. So we had separate accounts.
Okay.
And then we joined.
Oh, now you have one account.
One account. Like I had about 50,000 followers or close to, and Makosi was on 60,000?
On TikTok?
Yeah.
Oh, so now
And then we lost all of them.
Love.
So that's why we started again. But as soon as we started, as soon as that happened, that's when the wildness began. So I was like, oh man.
Good.
It was.
Now I hope we will definitely unpack the wildness, at some point and understand
cool.
where it's coming from, and maybe we can sit here and maybe find an amicable way to understand because this doesn't come ayinhlalanga kahle.
Mina ingihleli kahle ngoba lo muntu okhulumayo umuntu wesifazane. And you see abantu besifazane sesihlukumezekile, sihlukezwa izenzo zomuntu wesilisa. You understand? So mina into engayithandanga kuyena, it's the approach phela. Kodwa ukuthi uchaza ukuthi yazi ngilimele ngendlela ethize ngoba you cannot just say ukuthi I'm doing this for a purpose of entertainment kodwa usachaza ngenhlungu. You can feel the pain mechaza. Okay. You can feel the detail akaya kuyona ukuthi upenda isithombe sokuthi yengahlukumezeka. You understand? And angimi emgaqweni wakhe to say that didn't happen. I'm not denying anything. And angimlweli naye. Into angiyilwelayo indlela owenze ngayo angayithandanga. That's where I stamp my feet to say I ke qala kimeke. Angivumi ke leyo. But if she would allow us to come together, ayisho into yakhe ukuthi yini uphatheke kanjani, ucela ukuthi kwenzeke kanjani. Nabanye futhi ngoba phela kasekho yedwa, she's not the only one anymore, right? Nabo futhi bengakwazi ukuthi beze besho istory sabo sihlangane nomkhulu axolise mekufanele axolise indlela iye phambili ngoba nathi sidinga ukuphefumula.
Iyavakala. Mkhulu, handles?
Oh, how do I face it? Just like that?
Just read them out.
Oh.
Just read them out.
So it's Mkhulu_Fam.
Mkhulu_Fam. That's your TikTok account. And your work numbers, do you want to share those with
It's
us?
on the account.
Okay.
063 444 2052.
Lovely couple. What an honor. I learned a lot today. And I'm so humbled. And may you just keep on moving, growing, loving each other. Kungapheli la. Are you planning on having kids?
Siyathokoza. Yes, we are planning on having kids.
Magwad.
Magwande.
And
Family, there you have it. Another wonderful episode on the Thokoza Gogo podcast. Listen, I learned a lot on this episode. Two worlds can come together very, very, very nicely, and you can cruise nicely with your partner. Most of all, Mkhulu is an Arab sangoma, and then we have Ugogo here. Oh no, Makosi, Otelu Mkhulu, but they are making this thing work. Like Utando guys, look on Nina Zangoma. That and believer, guys, I forgot about my mic. Don't judge me. If you believe that Utanda Luko and Shadegi Lalelan, Ugogo is doing it, and she's thriving in that department. I'm sending her a DM. Maybe she'll give you a trick or tip or two. Anyway, that was it from me. Nami ngisaba bheka ngoba sengibheke ngale kubo Makosi. So sengiyobheka khona ke manje. I'll see you on the next episode of Thokoza Gogo podcast. Same time, same place. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Follow me on the socials. I am Po Abadimu everywhere, and I'll see you on the street. Miss Bonana, Nitsi Thokoza.